I am so thrilled to be here. Thanks, Laurie.
Oh my goodness. I have been waiting for this webinar for months. Months I've been talking to Timi and I've been counting it down on my calendar, and we are finally here. This is the day. Timi is a longtime evangelist of Little Green Light. She was first an early adopter, then a user, and now the senior marketing manager. If you've been hanging around Auctria and me for any time, you'd think I would be reading my bio off of Auctria, but it's not. Timi and I have mirrored our experiences, and we didn't even know it for a long time. Timi, again, thank you for coming here and talking about Little Green Light. Little Green Light is an all-in-one donor management software, and it's really built to transform your work with ease. You're running your auction event fundraiser, but then what do you do with all that stuff after? And a CRM is the right place to grow that long-term relationship, right, Timi?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so excited to share some of the ways in which, really a CRM can be really beneficial to help our nonprofits really take advantage of all of that great work that they've done in managing their events with Auctria and capitalizing on that and growing long-term relationships so that those event supporters become lifetime supporters of their organization and hopefully donors.
Awesome. So a little bit of housekeeping. Yes, you will get the slides. Yes, you will get the replay. There is a closed captioning down at the bottom. You can move that out of the way if it's in the way of your slides. We have a public chat and a Q&A mode chat there if you want to put any questions in there. We'll go ahead and go through. Feel free to drop in any questions, any comments as we go. In addition to that, I brought a little survey. I'm going to pull that up in a little bit. But I always ask people, where are you tuning in from and what kind of organization are you supporting with your not-for-profit? I am in sunny South Florida. And Timi, where are you tuning in from? You're up north from me, correct?
I am. I'm located in central Connecticut, and it's somewhat sunny out my window today, but certainly probably not as beautiful as sunny Florida.
I'm sure it's just as beautiful. Okay, we got Harrisburg, we got Philadelphia, we got Pennsylvania covered.
Well, I
Boston,
saw
Culver
Fort
City,
Lauderdale.
California. Okay, we're already coast to coast here. Pittsfield, South Dakota, Chicago. Go ahead, continue to put this in because sometimes people make friends in the same geography. Sometimes they make friends in the same type of charity you're covering. If you're new to Auctria, I know we sent this out to both audiences. We sent this out to the Auctria people. We sent this out to the LGL people. And if you're new to Auctria, Auctria is a platform designed to help you run your auction event fundraisers, events, tickets, auctions, paddle raise, mobile bidding, sponsorships, whole bunch of stuff. And like I said, my name is Laurie, and I'm so thrilled to be joined here by Timi.
Wonderful. And boy, I'm super excited to be on this side as well because I recently had the great pleasure of being at an auction that used Auctria. And I was loving kind of seeing how the platform worked in real time and how it really helped to benefit their event and really grow it from what it was to what it became because of the great tools. So super excited to be able to share some of that and also share a little bit about Little Green Light, but really more specifically just about how CRMs can really be a great tool in your fundraising toolbox to help kind of grow those relationships.
Awesome. Did you want to talk about the items that we're going to cover today?
Absolutely, of course. So, Laurie and I, as we talked about this webinar, we really wanted to present you with some information that can really help you to think about what to do with the data that you're collecting in your event and really capitalize it in a way in which you can really take advantage of all of that hard work that you've put into your event and ensure that you're going to be able to, one, hold a successful event again next year, and two, continue to kind of grow and develop the relationships with people who have attended your events or have sponsored them. So in today's webinar, we're going to kind of talk through some really practicalities, what it is that you want out of your events. What can a CRM do to help you manage the information that you're capturing at your event? What information do you need in a CRM, and what information is better to leave out of your CRM? And then ultimately, we're going to present you with a very simple kind of stewardship plan that you can use to take action with these people who have been at your event and grow those relationships so that you can earn really the right to ask them for something more than attending. So I'm really excited to be here and to share that with you. Before we dive in, I'd love it, Laurie, if we could do a quick little poll. And this is something that Laurie and I have talked a lot about. Organizations run events for lots of different reasons. Don't you think, Laurie?
Yes, absolutely. I'm always talking about raise money, raise awareness, raise money, raise awareness. You'd think I was a broken record, but it truly is the case.
Prior to me coming on board at Little Green Light, Laurie and I were chatting and kind of chuckling about this because both of us first came to our jobs first as a user of the platform, right? And that's how it was for me as well. I was the director of advancement at a fairly large Catholic high school here in Connecticut, and I had the work of doing not only our kind of annual fund work and our communications and marketing, but also managing events. And I know firsthand really how much time and energy goes into planning events. And that I felt like even if, that event brought in a decent amount of money, it still required so much time and energy that it had to do more than just raise money because it needed to be bigger than that. And it's one of the reasons why I really love this quote from fundraising expert Claire Axelrod. I don't know if any of you have heard about her. She's an amazing writer and philanthropist, a fundraising expert. And she talks about how events should really be part of a continuum and not just a one-shot deal. And that ultimately they need to really exist within a relationship building context. I love this because I found this really to be true. If you're only just doing event after event after an event, and you're not thinking about the ways in which you can capitalize the relationships that you've started at this event and get people more and more aware and engaged of your organization, then really you're leaving a lot on the table. This is the best way to put it, right?
So that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, and in this webinar, kind of what we're going to talk about is the what's next. So you've had this great event. Hopefully you're using Auctria because it's a great platform to be able to ensure you're really capturing the details, the transactional details that you need, right? But now we want to talk about, now that the event is over, what do you do? How do you engage those people to become part of your mission long term? So when we look at the ways in which you can communicate and work with people who have attended your event, Laurie, I love this slide that you put together. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts here about sparking interest.
So I actually have an email that goes after a webinar ends, and it has some of this located in it. Tells you how to pull down your reports, but also tells you what are your 9 duties to do afterwards. And 3 of them are right here. It's follow up immediately after the fundraiser. Your bidders and your donors are the heroes. Celebrate them and thank them, and provide status updates regularly with images, infographics, video. Keep them engaged. Continue to spark the interest. You gave, and this is what that impact is. So continue that conversation.
And that's right on. It's exactly what we're going to talk about. And I'm actually, in addition to what Laurie shares with you, and that sounds like a great email, I'd love to see all the rest of your ideas. We're going to give you some practical tips also to figure out how it is you can actually enact it without it being so overwhelming, like you're planning another event, right? We want to incorporate this into your overall fundraising plan and calendar. And that's really what we're going to do as we talk about that stewardship plan. But this is also a great slide. And I love this because when Laurie and I were talking about this webinar, and we talk about the interaction between event management software like Auctria and a CRM service like Little Green Light. We talked about the reason why both are so instrumental. And Laurie said, really, when you think about your event management software as being the tool that helps you to transact the business around the event, and your CRM as the relational aspect, that is the way for you to be able to interact with those people based on the history with you through the event, to help them become more and more engaged with your organization. That's when you can really see how these two really important products really interact to help you really achieve your mission. Laurie, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
You think would have teed up. I think it's Janine here, Trezio, on this note that she left here. And I didn't. She planted this question, and it's so appropriate. She holds music events, they're small concerts, and they're always having difficulty tying their mission to that activity. And when you use something like an Auctria, you have an event website where you can run your tickets through, but you can do whatever you want on that page to customize it a whole lot. You can put a video that shows your impact. You can put in a donation item area also. You can put in some carousels for activities that are going on. You can really provide the story and the why behind why you're running that event. That's why event management software, that has that continuum is so much more impactful from not-for-profits than just a little ticketing. Not that Eventbrite is so little, but just ticketing, or having that solo piece of it.
Great. Hey, Laurie, I see that some people are commenting about some reverb. Are you finding anything happening on your end?
I am. Let me knock that down. Is it
better? Let's hope so. So if you're still finding some problems with the audio, feel free to put a note here in the public chat and we'll take a look again.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. And I don't know, sometimes I know on platforms we use, sometimes video and audio, sometimes tricky. So Rachel, I'm not sure if it's me or Laurie. So let us know and we'll see if we can troubleshoot that on our side.
Okay, I knocked it down way low.
All right, very good. Awesome. Okay, so I want to kind of jump in and just talk for a minute, kind of take a step back. And I chuckled a little because right at the very beginning, somebody said, what's a CRM? And I saw that someone had answered it as constituent relationship management. And spot on, totally right. If you're new to the term, don't be surprised. It's one of those things that you may hear lots of different terms when it comes to software to help you manage donor information. You might hear it as donor management software, nonprofit software, a CRM, a constituent relationship management tool. There's a whole slew of different terms, and there's actually a whole slew of different functionality that different software providers offer. So Little Green Light is a donor management and constituent relationship management tool. And what that really means is that not only do we provide you a tool or a solution to help you manage information about your donors and their gifts, kind of the donor management piece, but we also give you tools to help you document important interactions that you have with your constituency base. So those constituents could be donors, but they could be prospects. They could be people who have attended events or your volunteers, right? They are all people really who in some way or another are engaged with your organization. And you want to be able to keep track of the various ways in which they're engaged. And a CRM can do everything from helping you to manage information about important phone calls or meetings that you've had with these constituents, to the activities they've had, like the hours that they are volunteering at your organization, the events they're attending, and so forth. So a CRM really is a great tool to help you manage all of your interactions with your current and future donors. And it uses technology really to organize and automate that information in a way in which it is accessible. So in a very long-winded way, really, a CRM is a tool that really can make it easier and more effective for you to fundraise. And that's really why we're so passionate about sharing this particular webinar with you because we want you to take advantage of all of the ways in which you are really collecting important information from events, and make sure that you can get it into your donor management software or your CRM so that you can start to track those important interactions. So let's talk a little bit about how a CRM can help you to grow relationship with your supporters after the event is over, right? So, as Laurie said, right, there are lots of opportunities for us to be able to make connections with donors. But you need a system, you need a tool to help you to do that. And although lots of information is being kept in your event software, it is not necessarily giving you the tools that you need to be able to further your relationship with them in terms of sending out communications and really helping them to feel part of your overall community. So, one of the ways that a CRM can really be beneficial is it basically allows you to centralize all the data that you have about a constituent in one system. So that means that maybe if they've been to multiple events or they've been to the same event year after year, you'll easily be able to see that within their record in your CRM and be able to utilize that information in a way that you can be much more personal with them in terms of your outreach. Um, you can also use a CRM to really help you identify trends and opportunities. So you can do things like generate reports, pull over information over year. So if you've got multiple events in any given year, or you're doing the same signature event year after year, you might be able to more easily be able to see people who are attending regularly, who are maybe giving more and more each year. And those things can really help you identify people who might have more interest and or capacity to give to your organization in a bigger way, or at the very least give you insights into who's really invested in learning more about your mission, and give you an opportunity to set up a phone call with them or set up a meet so that you can really learn more about their interests and maybe their willingness to help your organization in additional ways. When you're able to keep track of those important relationship building efforts, not just who they are and where they live and how you can contact them and what events they went to, but you can also track important conversations you've had with them, and you can see these kind of trends. Then you can start to identify ways in which you can really grow those relationships. And that's really at the heart of what a CRM is about. Yes, it's a tool that can help you to manage who your donors are, how to contact them, and how much they've given you. But more importantly, it's part of your kind of strategic tool to be able to really identify people who have interest and capacity to do more for your organization. And when it comes to people who are attending your events, they're people who have already started to get some information about who you are. Hopefully at your events, you're not just selling items or raffling off gifts, but you're also teaching them, as Laurie I know shares, about your organization and helping them to see the benefits of how supporting you can really benefit their organization overall. Would you say that's true, Laurie? I see you shaking your head. Yeah. Oops, you're on mute, my friend.
Sorry, I'm absolutely nodding my head up and down because our next webinar coming up is all about storytelling and creating that story so that you can present that at your event. So yeah, you absolutely can do all that because it all goes together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That's great. I mean, I do think that some of the things that Laurie suggested in one of our earlier slides in terms of follow-up was about sharing stories and videos and pictures. Don't forget during your event that that's an opportunity for you to start gathering that kind of information. And if you're using storytelling actually at your event, it's the same kind of information that you can use in follow-up after the event as well. So you're not recreating the wheel, you're actually utilizing the same information, but maybe just massaging it a little bit for a different purpose.
Absolutely. Move it from a video to an infographic to a testimonial, and it's all got a different flavor. And you never know. Some people like static images, some people will watch a video, some people want it in text.
Absolutely. It's always important to kind of think about your donors and your event attendees' preferences. And that's another way that a CRM really can be beneficial, is because you can actually track those kinds of preferences right within their records. So when you're getting ready to send a thank you, if you know this person is generally preferring a card versus an email, or wants a phone call or doesn't, you know that. And so you're actually interacting with them in a way in which most resonates with them. So, it's funny, thanking attendees, right? It's something that we, don't always think a lot about. I mean, I know when I did events that there were times when you're like, it's months and months of work to get your event going. And then you finally have it. You say goodnight, you thank everybody for coming. And then you go back to your office after you've slept for 5 days and you say, phew, it's over. Now what do I have to do? All the things that I've been holding back for 6 months, now I can pay attention to. And then you kind of forget about the event. And this is why I think it's important to remember that it is important as part of your event planning process to also have a kind of post-event plan. And I can talk a little bit about that, but that definitely starts with thanking your event attendees. And so I love it, Laurie, that you send out an email reminder after the event to your customers and remind them of that, because thanking event attendees is going to make a huge difference in whether or not those people attend an event again by you. And also, whether or not they'll ever give to you. Now, it's funny here at Little Green Light, and Laurie, I know this is true for you. Occasionally as a company, we go to events and we sponsor events and we, go to conferences and, we're investing in that organization to help, get the word out about our platforms. And I've been with Little Green Light now for 12 years, and I probably do anywhere between 8 and 12 events a year like that, minus COVID, because those didn't happen then. But other than that, right? And what's really funny is this year, for the first time ever, I got 2 thank yous from different organizations after I returned from the event. And in all the years that I've done these events, I've never gotten a thank you. But I'll tell you what, it's going to make a huge difference in my mind about whether or not I plan to attend that event again next year, or if me being there was just like okay, yeah, we're done, we've forgotten about you. So remember the impact that it has, because I'm sure you will know how you feel when you get feedback from people who are attending your events as well. I actually really loved this quote because it helps to reinforce to me again why it's so important to thank people and to do it probably more than once. So thanking them at the end of the night might not be enough. So this Roger Craver is also another wonderful fundraising consultant. He published a book called Retention Fundraising, and he, in his report, found that donors that were thanked just one more time over their counterparts were 40% more likely to give again. 40%. That's amazing.
One thank you. That's not a bad return on investment, huh, Timi?
Right. Yeah, just one more time. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the thank you process. And let's talk about this stewardship plan that I have for you that you can potentially implement to kind of convert those event attendees and sponsors maybe to longtime supporters. So remember, I said it's really important as you're planning your event to not just think about until the night of, but also create a plan for after the event. Well, it all starts, I think, with a post-event communication plan. And when you think about a post-event communication plan, there's really just a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind in terms of what the goals are. First of all, people want to know how the event went. They want to know, did you make your goal? How many students or how many animals were saved, or how many, patients are going to get the care they need. So it's really important to share the results of the event in your thank you. You also want to make sure that those supporters that came, whether they're attendees or sponsors or even the volunteers, goodness knows, right? We have a lot of volunteers we count on for events to make them successful. Let them know that they're appreciated. Make sure that when you're planning the different communication strategies, that you don't forget those different segments of people, and make sure that they know how important it was for their participation and how much it made a difference for your support. And then lastly, if you do have sponsors, definitely make sure that you provide them with some key statistics and give them some really concrete examples of how their contribution had made a difference in the event and the outcomes, because it is those things that will make a difference, especially when you're working with corporations and foundations. They want to know that their money has made a difference. They get lots of requests. I'm sure you know this, right? So you want to make sure that they are really clear that their contribution was welcome and that it had impact. Laurie, do you have any thoughts about event sponsorships, or what you have found with following up with them after the event?
Yeah, we have a full webinar just on sponsorships, and that's one of the key components. You have to follow up with them. That way, it gives you permission to ask them again, kind of like your donors, and give it to them on a silver platter so that they can share it out to their audience also. We supported so and so charity, and because of our support, they were able to. So they're turning around and they're sharing your mission and they're sharing what they've done, and you're bringing that goodwill forward, and it continues to have momentum.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because I think sometimes we think a one size fits all message is fine, right? In other words, anybody who's come to the event in any shape or form, attended, maybe bought a ticket but didn't come, sponsors, volunteers, we can just send out a blanket thank you. Thank you for supporting our event. Well, you could, but you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more success when you're a little bit more strategic around that. And because really the goals are different for what you want out of that communication. So for people who maybe are attending an event for the first time, that post-event communication is really going to be key to converting them to donors and becoming lifelong supporters. For your existing supporters, people who are already, engaged with you and continue to be engaged with you, then the event, post-event communications is really a way for you to continue to build a deep and lasting relationship with them. So your messaging might need to be different. So that leads me into telling you a little bit about kind of a quick, easy 3-month stewardship plan that you can use for event attendees. And it's probably a little bit similar to some of the things that Laurie suggests in her email, which is great. It means we're kind of right on the same page. This is not necessarily new information. I'm sure most of you know it. A lot of it is just learning to incorporate it in your plan, right? So be thinking about the ways in which you can put this together in a way that makes sense. And if you plan for it ahead of time, then it's just another part of the process. It's not something you have to think about, okay, now the event's over, what do I do? So first and foremost, definitely within 2 weeks of the event ending, you want to make sure that you send out that personalized thank you. So we are just talking a little bit about this. If you can, think about segmenting those thank yous, meaning send out a thank you to people who have attended, thank you to people who volunteered, thanking them for their service, for volunteering. Thank you to your sponsors. Again, you can do those in batches, in bulk batches, pertaining to the segment. But as being as specific as you can in those thank yous and making them as personal as you can will really net benefits beyond what you can imagine. I think getting a blanket email sometimes is just not quite enough. So utilize some of that great information that Laurie was talking about in terms of the storytelling and those images that were taken at the night of the event. Make it, so that they can really react to and remember the time that they had with you. So after that, give it a little bit of time. And around 6 weeks or so, I'd say, is a great time to start making personal phone calls to some of your top supporters. So you have to call everybody who's been at the event? No. Again, this is a great place where a donor management system or a CRM solution like Little Green Light can really be beneficial, because you can easily sort the gifts that have come in from that event and be able to see who are your top, maybe your top 10, 15, 25, depends on what you have time for. Be realistic in what's possible, and even think about, are there people at my organization who can help me with these phone calls? A lot of times when I worked at the nonprofit I was at, I told you it was a school. So we actually used students for this. We had students call, and we did what we called a thankathon, and just thank them for their contribution. Yeah, isn't that great? But we have to make sure you're not asking them for anything at this point. You're just calling to thank them. And it's funny, when we did our thankathons, Laurie, it was always hysterical, because people would say, "You're not calling me for money?" And the students would say, "No, ma'am, we're
No.
just calling to say thank you. And we just appreciate you being there. And it was your support meant so much to us. And because of you, we're able to do X, Y, and Z." And often people would say, "Well, I'd like to give a little more. Take a donation."
And it only has to be short and fast, right? Quick little
Right.
script. Did you know? Here's what happened.
Indeed, absolutely. And you know what? The more that they can put that with a face of someone who is benefiting from their support, the easier it is for them to really recognize that they had impact. So that's what we want to do, is we want to help people to feel like what they have done has been memorable and purposeful and beneficial to the audience that they wanted to support. So phone calls are really a great way to do that. And you know what? Don't worry if you get an answer machine. It's okay. Leave a message. You know how it's going to lift up someone's day when they get home and they're listening to a message that isn't an ask, but is a student, or a volunteer, or a board member, or even your ED that's calling saying, "Hey, I just want you to know how much it meant to me to have you there last week," or whatever, last month. And then lastly, 3 months after the event. So quick 3 things, right? Share an inspiring story of donor impact. Again, there's no ask here. We're not talking about now as being the time to ask. We're just saying this is the time to have touch points with your constituency groups and just tell them how important they are to you. So sharing a little bit about an inspiring story that's happening in your organization can be really key. So 3 things. What do you think? Can you do those 3 things? How hard do you think that would be to incorporate in your schedule? I'd love to hear in the chat what you're thinking. Are those things that feel realistic? Are there other things that you use, that you do, that you think have been really beneficial? Have you ever done a thankathon? I'd love to hear about that. I just love doing those thankathons. They're probably my most favorite things. And it's a great way to engage people at your organization to help out. We even had teachers come in and do them, and they loved it as well, because they got a chance to really reach out and talk to people in a meaningful way.
That's a great point, Timi. Splitting that work out amongst your team, even though you're running the entire event, doesn't mean that you need to take on all these jobs. There's people that are around you that can help you with these small pieces.
Absolutely. And that's the thing with events. I mean, one of the things that I found really early on was not only having a plan and a timeline and kind of planning out what needed to happen, but actually having a committee of volunteers and help really made the difference, so that you could extend your capacity. Because sometimes, if you're working at a small organization, you're wearing a lot of hats, and you may not have time to run the annual fund and do your marketing and communications and run events. So maybe having someone who can take on the responsibility and you just oversee the work of the committee can be a really great way to hold a very successful event, but without feeling like you're putting all of your other work on hold. Yeah, absolutely. So just a couple of other stewardship opportunities that I just wanted to kind of put in your mind in terms of what else you can do. Be sure to add your event attendees to your newsletter list. They are people now who have had some interaction with you, and it's a great way for them to learn a little bit more about what you're doing throughout the year. If you do a year-end solicitation or a Giving Tuesday activity, and it's been 6 months or more since you've had your event, now, and you've done some of those follow-up tasks that I'm suggesting, now would be a good time to go ahead and ask them for a gift. I'm sure you've heard the old adage, the reason why people don't give is because they're not asked. So, I always love this analogy. Somebody said this to me very early on, but when you're working with people and you want to help them learn about your mission and your organization with the ultimate goal of hopefully having them be a donor or a supporter, is it's like dating. So when you meet someone and you go on your first date, you don't say, let's get married. What you do is you slowly build up an opportunity to get to know them and meet their family and take them out to dinner and learn their likes and dislikes. And, you start to build a relationship with them. And then when you feel like you've earned the right, you can ask them to marry you. Right. So I have marriage on the brain because my daughter's getting married soon. So, but I like that thinks about donors, because I think sometimes we think, oh, we know someone, they came to our event, they spent a lot of money, they obviously have capacity. Let's go ask them for a lead gift for our capital campaign. Wait. They may be a great person to be a lead gift for your capital campaign, but you haven't quite yet earned the right to work with them. And so that's where this stewardship plan can really come into play. So, and of course, be sure to invite them to next year. Don't forget. That's one of the great things that I think I love about a donor management system or a CRM solution like Little Green Light is it's very easy to see who's attended each event. And utilize that information to be able to create your invitation list for the next year. And when we're talking about personalization and segmentation, when you send out your invites, just like with your thank yous, be strategic. Utilize segments. Send a letter to people who have attended your event last year and say, it was so great that you were there last year. We hope you'll get to join us again. Can you send that to someone who's never been before? No. But that's okay.
Timi, people ask us all the time. They're like, Laura, how do we get people involved? How do we get them engaged? How do we get them to come to our event? And I'm like, use your data from your CRM, make that letter specific to them as much as you can with your little segments, and then send it out and invite them to the event. They're like, oh, can't we just load them into the system? I'm like, no, you want them to be engaged. You want them to participate. You want it to come from your CRM, which is a known email that they're familiar with, that shows up in their inbox, and it's got, your tone, your logo, and everything else that comes along with it by using that on a regular basis.
You are so right. And I think sometimes we just forget. We kind of think about people as lists instead of as people. Right.
Yes.
And I think the more that we can think about people as people and interact with them as we'd want to be interacted with, right, when we're being asked to participate in something, then I think the more success we're going to have. And you're right. We have really oftentimes a tremendous amount of information at our fingertips. But we have to sometimes realize that only certain information is beneficial or useful. And that actually brings me kind of my next point here that I just wanted to talk a little bit about is what kinds of data from your event do you really want to put into your CRM? Because I'm sure that's probably another question that, Laura, you might get occasionally.
Once in a while.
I know we hear it all the time here at Green Light. If people are using different platforms to collect information, the tendency or the desire sometimes is if I have the data, it should go into LGL. And usually we say, wait, because let's think about what it is that you're going to be doing in your CRM and what plans you have and how you're going to utilize that data. And that's exactly what I'm going to suggest to you here. We went through a little bit of an idea of a plan for what you could do in terms of follow-up strategies for your event attendees and sponsors. Think about whether or not that's something that you can manage. Is it something that you plan to do? If it is, then there's going to be certain pieces of data that you're going to need in your CRM about that latest event. Things like obviously who attended, how you can contact them, maybe what level of tickets they had. If you had multiple levels, maybe it makes a difference for you to know that. If they were a sponsor or a volunteer, that might be helpful to know, right? If they've made purchases or gave donations as part of that event, those are all potentially useful data points, especially if you're thinking that you're going to be segmenting those thank yous or those follow-ups for next year's events. So think a little bit about how you plan to utilize the data. And one thing to note, and Laurie mentioned to me this as well before we started, and I think it's a good thing to keep in mind, you don't have to necessarily bring in all of the data all at once. You don't have to export all of the data from Auctria all at once, or import it into Little Green Light all at once. Maybe all you need for your thank yous is a few data points. That's all you bring in initially. And then as you have more time and energy, you can add additional information as you need it. That's totally fine. So it's never like you won't have access to this data. And Laurie can, I'm sure, talk to you more about that on the Auctria side. But and the same is true with Little Green Light. It's not a one or done. You can always upload data as you need to and append existing information. So Laurie, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
You're 100%. And in fact, there's a follow-up question from Nancy. Data entry into CRM. Do you suggest entering information as calls and points of contact? Are they made sponsorships more than general attendees? I don't know if you want to chat about that right now also.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think once you have that information in and you start to manage this stewardship plan, Little Green Light has some really awesome capabilities to help you do what we call appeals. So appeals are kind of similar to events, except what they're tracking instead of an actual activity is various touch points or interactions. So if you wanted to set up an appeal to help you manage the different interactions you have and document important phone calls or meeting notes, you can absolutely do that within that appeal. What that allows you to do is do some of that segmentation. So maybe everybody that's been in the event gets pulled into the appeal, but you will segment out different people, and based on what you're going to do with those people, maybe some people are going to get a call, some people are going to get a letter, some person's going to get an email. You can actually segment those out based on how they are and keep them in Little Green Light. So yes, I think anything that you are tracking that is relational in nature definitely makes sense to maintain inside your CRM.
Awesome. And the column on the right-hand side, people ask us all the time, can't I just have everything integrate? And you're like, no, you don't want all the minutia. You don't need the bidding history, the table seating, like you said, the ticket numbers, the meal choices, who sat where, and how many glasses of wine they had, or if they did you don't need that. You don't need that. And you don't want to clutter up that in your CRM. So
that's right.
Wait until the end of the event, dust settles, you clear everything out, everybody's paid, then just take that data in there, take just what you need, and it keeps your data pristine.
Absolutely. And I think ultimately, the reason why you want clean data is because you want it to be usable. You want it to be easy for you to be able to pull the information you need and be able to act on it quickly. If it's buried with a lot of information that's unnecessary or is not going to be utilized, your database quickly gets clogged with information that makes finding the information you need harder. So are we saying you can't put this kind of information into your CRM? No, we're not saying that. You can choose. And I think there may be points in here that we say you probably don't need in your CRM. And you're going to say, but I need this because this is my plan and this is how I'm going to use it. And we're going to say, absolutely. You have a plan to use it and that's meaningful for your organization. It should absolutely go in. You may see the things that we have on useful data points. I don't need that information because I'm never going to send an email or I'm never going to make a phone call. Those are choices that you can make based on what you can and can't do in your organization in terms of your capacity. But these are just some ideas of things that you might want to be taking into account as you're thinking about transitioning data from one system to another.
Awesome.
So just in terms of kind of moving data back and forth, Laura, you put together this great slide. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so getting your data out of Auctria is really simple. As you can see across the top of those tabs, we have reports that are already pre-built for you on items, donors, bidders, tickets, raffles, financial, and other. Underneath each of those tabs, there's probably another dozen of each. Then under each of those reports, so I would probably pull my financial, my all bidder income to start with. Then when I pull up that, I can actually include and exclude additional fields that are specific to my event or that I am going to use in the future. And you can download those as a XLS or a PDF if you don't want anybody to touch them. But if you're going to upload them into LGL, then you would obviously want to use a format that is portable on the other side, which I think is our next slide. Correct, Timi?
It is. It is. So yes, it is totally possible to bring data into Little Green Light. So since you have the ability to export data from Auctria into spreadsheet format, so whether it's Excel or a CSV file, you can use that to upload using LGL's Flex Importer tool. So it really is kind of a simple matter of matching your column headers and your spreadsheet to the field names that it goes into Little Green Light. We have some great information specifically about how to upload certain kinds of data, including event data. And I know that Auctria and LGL have been talking a little bit about how we can potentially make that process even more seamless with having some report templates available for you. So we are in the midst of working on some of that detail. But for now, the export and import process is always available and can be utilized. And of course, here on the LGL side, we always have a support team that can help you troubleshoot if you're having any problems moving that data over. We can take a look at your import and give you some suggestions on how you can get that to go in seamlessly. So.
And to me, one of my favorite things about LGL, and you've told me this months and months and months ago, but I filed it away, is that you can always hit undo or you can save it before you send it. Can you talk about that for a little bit? I'm
Oh
sure
my
I'm not
gosh,
using
I
the
just
exact
so love the
terminology.
undo option. There's a lot of undo options in Little Green Light, which I love. Because you know what? Sometimes you just get busy, you get a little sidetracked, you just like hit okay, put it in, and then you're like, ugh, I mapped the zip code to the phone number field, darn, or whatever. And that's one of the great things about Little Green Light with the import tool. It's really user friendly and super forgiving because it's got an undo button. So if you have mistakenly put in data and it didn't go exactly, maybe you forgot to add it to the event and it just went into your general constituent data, you can just click undo and it'll undo that import. You can change mapping and then re-import it, and it's very simple. There's an undo button and then fix and re-import. So super easy. Yeah.
I love that. It looks like Amy likes that too. She's got a best in caps with 2 exclamation points. We've all been there, right?
I am totally with you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Pulling back your import is the best part of LGL. I know, right? There's a lot of great things about LGL, but I have to say that's definitely one of my faves too. So I just wanted to close out for those of you who maybe are new to Little Green Light and aren't yet using a donor management system and a CRM or are looking for a change. We'd love for you to take a look at Little Green Light. We provide all accounts with their first 30 days for free because we really want you to see how it works and we want you to feel comfortable with it. Auctria has actually partnered with us to provide you with $200 off a new account. You just use the referral code Auctria when you set up your account at LGL. And it's super easy. You just go to our website and click the try for free button. If you decide that you love it and you want to continue after the 30 days are up, we'd love to have you as a customer. You can set up your subscription right inside LGL and keep going with the account you started. So super easy. In terms of pricing, you can see the full pricing information on our website, but we try to be as transparent about that as possible. We have monthly subscription plans, which start at $45 a month. That includes unlimited users, all features, all our support and training. Everything's included there. It is based on the number of constituent records that you're managing in your database. So as your constituent count grows, your pricing may as well, but $45 a month will give you up to 2,500 constituent records. And we do have a annual subscription option available, which you get a 10% discount for. So if that's a way that you're looking to save some money, that could be a possibility. But as you know, you can import data, as we talked about. You can also export data, by the way, just like you can with Auctria. So if you want to be able to export data out, maybe your invite list that you're then move over to Auctria, you can absolutely do that as well. And we'd love, for you to just stay in touch and communicate with us. One of the best ways to do that is to join our fundraising tips and news article updates. We usually publish a new article a week, a month. Every week a new one comes out, and lots of great fundraising tips around events and all other kinds of fundraising strategies. So if you'd love to see LGL in action, the best way to do it is join one of our live demos. Though you can see that link here on the page. So hopefully that's helpful. And Laurie, I'm sure for LGLers, they have some questions around Auctria, and you can talk about that.
Absolutely, pretty similar. We run demos weekly. You're more than welcome to join us. If you scan that code, it'll take you to our demos page. We post regularly to Facebook and social media. We have the nicest page on Facebook. It's called Auction Team Talk. I think you're on there too, Timi. It's all sorts of people that are working on their auction and event fundraisers, and they're always asking each other questions, and people are always responding to them. And then you can always email us hello@auctria.com. And then I will have all these slides. I will have the resources, the ones that are linked here on the replay, and I will provide all that for you. So it looks like there were a couple questions that have come in, and a whole bunch of comments talking about the amazing support over at LGL. And that always makes our hearts glow when we see that, cheering for the rest of our team, and everybody's working so hard. So I wanted to thank you for that. The first question was, what does the CRM stand for? Okay, we're going to quiz you guys back. What does the CRM stand for? Were you listening?
I love it. I love
it. The next question came in. Let's see if I see somebody typing. I see beep, although my son teases me with that all the time, and he pretends to type to me, I think, and then
he's typing to someone else, right?
Probably.
Looks like he's to you.
Next question came in from Monica. How does it compare to Greater Giving? Auctria is significantly different, but also similar to Greater Giving in that, in a gross sense, Auctria and Greater Giving are for auction and event fundraising. But when you get down to the features, and you get down to the pricing, and you get down to the customer service, that's where we completely diverge. And of course, I think Auctria is the best out there, but we do full demos. Happy to show you everything. You can hang out on our website. We have all sorts of information on our features, and you can try Auctria for as long as you want. Next question came in, second bullet point, that was in regards to our survey. I had a typo on there. See, we all make mistakes. Can we get a presentation deck? Yes, that will go out. The question was regarding data entry into CRM. Do you suggest entering information? Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, Timi, now that we're at the end?
I see a little bit more about that question, Nancy. It sounds like you're asking, should you put them in as they're happening? And I would say yes, honestly, because it's super simple to do. We also have a really great blog post about how you can actually create a form in LGL that you can put on your phone. And so if you're out and about and you want to be able to quickly jot a note about a meeting or a call that you had, and you're not at your desk or at your computer, you can use that. And the form will push it right into the constituent record. So that's super cool as well. But yeah, I would say definitely put it in as you go, otherwise you'll forget.
Awesome. And then somebody asked about Auctria's pricing. I'll drop the link in here so that you have it. Same thing with Auctria as it is with LGL. It is up on our website. We are completely transparent on everything. The Explorer plan is up to $10,000 in income per year for your event, and that's free. There's a 1% integration fee on the credit card side. Emerald, the license is $350, and that's up to $50,000 in income for your events for the year. And then Diamond, if you're over 50, would be $700. So it's free, $350, and $700. And it's not like any of the other providers where you have to talk to a bot and then talk to a salesperson, and then, they'll give you a secret code where you can demo it for a day or two, which is why I love LGL also. Try it out for 30 days. We have nothing to hide. Enjoy it, use it. And then if you like it, hang out with us for a longer period of time.
I love your transparency, and I think you're right that LGL and Auctria are very similar in terms of their approach, and it's one of the reasons why I'm really thrilled that we've had this to partner together and share our platforms with our client bases. The other thing I have to say, Laurie, as I think you've shared with me, that when you sign up for Auctria, it's for a year, and you can do as many events during that time as you want. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's amazing, people. Pricing is amazing. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. I love it.
It is. And we have some pretty awesome support people on our end. Take a look at our reviews. There's over 500 reviews between Captera and G2, probably 600 reviews between the two of them. And we're always sitting at 4.8, 4.9 stars. And we're really proud of that for all the years. I see somebody asked about mobile bidding. Yes, that's included in all of our plans. We don't jack up another 1,500 just because you're doing mobile bidding. And I don't hang out with anybody that's doing that. That's not nice either.
See, this is definitely a fun crowd to hang out with. We got the LGLers and we got the Auctria folks. We're having a good old time. And you know what? Really, why we're having a good old time is because we believe in your missions. And we know that organizations that are small can also be mighty, and that they deserve the best tools, but they don't necessarily have to pay an arm and a leg for it. A lot of people will say to us, what's different between you and them? And, sometimes we'll say it depends. Do you need to get from point A to point B? Well, do you need a Mercedes or Volkswagen do? I mean, does it have four wheels? Will it get you where you want to go? Yes. Do you want to spend, $200 a month on that car payment? Or would you like to spend, $1,000 a month on that car payment? Let's think about it. You have more important places to put your money. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's to your mission. So we believe that 100%. And I love that Auctria obviously wants to support you to help you raise money too, without, charging you so much that it makes it difficult to do so. So I love it.
Exactly. Timi, I think that's all the questions. If there's anybody else, type it in quick and we will answer. I would love for you guys to type in the bottom, and then I'll throw it to Timi to close out. What little nugget did you pick up? Are you bringing it back to your kitchen table, or are you bringing it to your boardroom table? I love to know what you're walking away with so that we can improve our webinars and our content moving forward. So I'll let you guys type that in. And Timi, I always wish everybody bids that soar. I hope they crush their fundraising goals, but I'll give you the last word.
Oh, well, I love that. I don't know that I have such an awesome ending line, other than say it's really been my pleasure to have this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you for the time that you gave us, and we'd love to help you in any way. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Best way to contact me is info@littlegreenlight.com. Either myself or one of my awesome colleagues will be happy to be back in touch and answer any questions that you have about LGL. Thanks.
Great day, everybody.